Hello, it's me again. Um, so the intention for today is to do a value study breakdown for composition and storytelling elements of Parasite, which is a really good film by Joon from the year 2019. Um, I really love this film, and I think I stumbled on it while doing other value studies. And sometimes when you're going at pace, something stops you in your tracks, and you can tell immediately there's a lot to learn from doing a deep dive. Um, I don't know what's there. I just know there's something um, that this is only gonna be able to happen once. So I wanted to make sure I captured all of my thoughts before I jump into it. Honestly, I've been putting it off. Been very excited to do it, but there's been so many other priorities um, that have been kind of prolonging it. I don't know, it's like pressure. I think there's just so much I needed to make sure I set enough time aside, be in the right headspace, blah 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 blah, to make sure I can do it. So I just want to get my thoughts out before we get into it. This I'm probably gonna end up talking about um, spoilers and stuff. So if you haven't seen it and are even mildly interested, you should probably come back after you've watched it. um, Also, case notes. I'm gonna end up muttering once we get into it because I want to get into the headspace of learning, and I'm just gonna vocalize things which jump out at me. But I'll probably lose focus and stop paying attention to the recording itself. So I'm not ignoring you, but um, this is a learning process, um, and I just want to make sure I get a pace and feel for what I'm doing. What am I even talking about? If you have no idea, I'm going to quickly pull up a picture of an apple or something. So the things you need to know before we jump into it is like what are we actually doing? Let's just do something quick for explanation's sake. We could probably try and recreate the Apple logo or whatever. Let's block out a quick square. So this is black box, and then I'm gonna use white. And basically, this is a really bad example actually. Come to think of it, because the logo itself is white and black, so it doesn't actually show anything. All right, so but this will get us started. Okay, it's seeing the breakdown of the shapes that are involved in an image, right? Like that's what a value is. I think at first it's quite difficult to see, and it takes practice to be able to do it, right? But behind every piece of art, behind every image that is quote unquote good, like one that doesn't have good control over values, you can tell immediately, right? Because it'll look unclear, it'll look blurry. So there's a few things we want to be paying attention to before we get into it. So I'm gonna lay out my brushes. So this is, I've called it flatty square. This is any conventional hard edge brush will do. It leaves behind a hard edge, you see up here, where it's essentially a clean pixel edge with none of this. I'm not sure why should I check the... You can go into your settings. Doesn't matter what program you're using. You can do this in anything. And getting the setup for whatever works for yourself is kind of key to it. Honestly, I don't know. I think I can now identify that I need to look at my brush settings later. But it'll do. It'll do for now, you know. Like, it's not quite leaving a complete perfect edge. It's more like a marker. But I don't know. Looking for a perfect brush is just a waste of time sometimes. Like, get something that works, get the idea, and then fix it later. Like, this is a bit... It's a bit annoying trying to worry about it. So this is also a custom soft brush. So the first time I did this, I ended up creating this smatter, which is a brush which is the same thing. If I zoom in here, you can see instead of this edge, this hard edge, you get this blurry mess. This is kind of what you want to be keeping in mind for certain things. Not necessarily this study, actually. I think we'll probably be using this hard edge brush predominantly, because that's what helps you block out shapes quickly. This is more for turning form and making adjustments to shape. Is that right? Don't quote me on that one. Hold on. I'm just talking out loud. That's what I'm using. It doesn't really matter. You can use spaghetti if you want. I think you can literally, as long as it gets you thinking in shapes and values, I don't think it matters. It'll probably be difficult with different mediums, but it's doable. I think just use whatever you got on hand. MS Paint, I guess. Your phone, doesn't matter. Do I have a royalty-free stock image, royalty? I just want to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. Maybe I can grab something off Unsplash, and then we'll get into it very soon. All right. Look, on the off chance, I don't want to take any risks, so I'm just gonna show you an example. So what we're doing is essentially blocking out the big shapes. I should use a bigger brush. I should also not zoom in so much, because we're just looking at the overall structure of an image, and you'll probably see me doing this once we get into it. I can use a bigger brush as well. Anyway, the idea is not spending too much time on it. Don't worry about getting it completely accurate. We might slow down for a deeper breakdown of certain shots. I think especially the first one is the establishing shot. We're gonna stay there a bit longer, but after that we'll kind of go to the races a bit. And basically go as fast as possible. Now you can do the breakdowns using anything. It doesn't have to be a film, but it's very specific. I want to do Parasite because it's well directed, and every single shot is planned. If you've ever seen the storyboard of this guy's work, it's incredible, and there's so much information in it that I think you could do this a million times and you could probably keep learning things. So this study can basically only happen with this much density this one time, because after this point, once I've internalized certain things, I'm not gonna be focusing on that, you know. it's a lot of setup, right? It's a lot of setup, and um, I just want to make sure to vocalize all of it. This is what I'm doing for this particular study because it's important to think about how are you doing at this moment, you know, and then this is what it means to grow is you take a snapshot of where you're at that moment, do the best you can, learn a bunch of stuff, and then do it again, and then you keep building and building and onboarding lots of different things. All right, so let's take stock of where I'm at. You know, I've been doing all sorts of different studies, focusing on a lot in art, lots of different things that I'm learning about. Today I want to pick out something specific, so this one is going to be the values and composition in particular. So what am I not focused on? Like, well, I don't mind getting 100% accuracy right now because it's more important to see the structure before I start doing anything deeper than that, right? Like that's the mindset. And then we take stock of where we're at for the day. Like this is getting a feel for the flow, flow of what you're doing. You can just draw some little shapes, you know, just let your mind, like this is the pace that I plan to be going at, like maybe even faster, I don't know. Like it doesn't matter, you just got to know where you're at. You know, a few minutes ago I was quite sluggish, you know, I was moving slowly. I think when we get into it I might get even faster, I don't know. I might get tired, I might slow down. Like being able to track where I'm at is going to be important, and then I can take breaks or slow down or whatever have you later on, you know, like just this is also a good thing to do to get a feel for shapes and forms. Like you can kind of see, even with just some scribbles, that there's a bit of flow towards what you're doing. There's something to learn in everything. Like you'll do all like you can learn some shape design just passively, just doing whatever you want. You know, where do you place things? Where do you find the story beats? You know, and suddenly you have an image of a boat in the sea just from some squiggles, right? So taking stock of all of that, should we just get into it? It's been like 10 minutes, but longer. Great. Let's start. Come on, let's go. I'm gonna focus up here. So this is the establishing shot of. I should also mention I'm using Film Grab. It's a website which does stills of films specifically. I could tell you more, but I don't know the structure or anything. Right, so what we're gonna do is zoom out. Now this is kind of an important shot, right? It's the establishing shot of a movie, so I'm gonna take my time and make sure I'm really breaking it down. We're not gonna worry about speed. We're also not gonna worry about getting it properly correct, but we do want to focus on learning, right? So first things first, what are we looking for? Value breakdowns. We're going to be using white, black, and grab a midtone, maybe leaning towards the black. Now this is your value scale, right? If you basically cross this boundary where your darkest lights does that make sense? The darkest light color, if that crosses this boundary down here, things start getting muddy, you know? Like this is your lightest dark, this one right here. It looks like about a 7-ish, give take. I should probably explain that too. A value breakdown. Let's just do a squash or something. How are we gonna do that? Grab white. And now, hello? Come on. Pardon me. No, get that lasso back out. Right. We'll do a gradient. Something like this. So, come on. Alright, so this is your value scale, right? This is just a typical gradient of values that you're looking at. You can order it however you want. You know, some people do like 0 to 10. They can flip it around 10 to 0. I find this side easier. But you're essentially blocking out groups. Well, this is going to be terrible. I can already... Look, it's the general idea, right? Like, you just imagine that it's split into 10 bands. Bands of color. Because that's what our eyes see. That's what we're looking at, the values. You take away all the color. I can show you that as well. If you do this, check it on a saturation layer, right? You can see immediately how these elements start looking different, right? That's what you're looking at. It's black and white. The grayscale is what's important, you know. This is kind of ugly. Like, people hate looking at black and white, but it's genuinely the most important thing. And I get it, like, the colors is what makes it fun to look at. The grey is what makes it readable, you know. It's like doing work and then someone else stealing the credit. Like, that's exactly what it is, right? So what do we need to know? Like, when we're doing a value breakdown like this, it's essentially deciding where you want to put your splits. You can do whatever you want. You can split it however you want, as long as what you're doing makes sense in the context, or it doesn't even have to have context, you know. Like, just do what works for yourself. Learn from other people and see how they do it, and find one that you like, because it's going to look very different, right? I can talk a little bit about like a high key lighting, right? Like, high key lighting is a composition which mainly focuses on like the light values, and they might have like a splash of dark, you know. It's still the same principle. They just leaning towards this side, this group of values. Why have I laid it out left to right? That's confusing. Values on the color picker over here go up and down. But technically, look, I'm not gonna get into that. It's really complicated. All right, but all you need to know is when you're changing values, going up and down is generally what you're looking at, right? Generally, broadly speaking, in a simplistic term, there's a lot more to it. But if I start rambling off about that, we're not gonna get anywhere. I'm still putting it off. But I just want to make sure everyone's following along, I guess. But we got everything. All right. So conversely, we'll go back to this idea of key lighting, because this might be important. Like, basically, how you structure your values is what sort of mood and impact it can have, and I might end up talking about that a little bit as we go. Anyway, we're just deciding like what sort of values do we want, and looking at why certain ones are used is important, right? Let's just do it. I think I keep wandering off. How come on, let's just go. Let's go. We're gonna split it down. Pop. 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 4 values. 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe another extra dark tone. It kind of looks like. So on a practical side, what am I doing? I'm squinting at the screen. We're gonna block out. I shouldn't use white. So I want to talk about everything. I want to talk about everything because it's also interwoven, right? I want to cram as much detail. I'm using a beige background to not screw with looking at the values, because adjacent values can affect the way we're looking at certain things. I don't even know how I'm going to start. Maybe a mid-tone might be easiest. So I'm picking a 5 just to block out some shape. You know, this is to stop. I'm also too zoomed in. we're gonna collide here. We're gonna collide. It doesn't matter. So being 100% perfect doesn't matter. So when you squint your eyes, you can see the big shapes. That's what we're looking for, the big shapes. I can see like a giant rectangle around. I can see a big rectangle. And then maybe some bars here. I should try not to use undo so much. And then I can see there's some like blobby shapes hanging. No, that's not right. I can just see something. I can see some vague shape in this area. If I stay with my eyes partially closed, I can see there's also some sort of light color. No, that's wrong. Some sort of light shape around here. And actually, the more I look at it, I think there's also an extra. It's kind of light around this. It's kind of like a lighter than the midtone picked square there. There's another one on this side. I think with color relativity involved, it looks darker than it is. I don't know. I don't know the ins and outs of that yet. But that's the general structure of what I'm looking at. I think the forms obviously are all over the place. I think the placement is also not right. But what are we looking at? It's a composition. It's a framing tool, right? The first establishing shot is probably the most important one of the film. And in this particular scene, we haven't met the characters yet. So we need to learn everything. We need to learn everything from this one shot about who we're going to be dealing with, about what's going to happen in the story roughly. It tells a lot, right? It says everything, like how they live. This is Parasite, a film about all sorts of things. It's how can I sum it up? To be honest, it's about like income inequality and things like that, and like, is that even right? No, this isn't a film breakdown. If you want something like that, I'm not the person to ask. I've seen it twice, a while ago, and importantly, I didn't go back to rewatch it before doing this because I wanted to make sure I had all the thoughts. I want to make sure I got all the thoughts down properly while I'm doing this, because this is like almost a once in a lifetime thing, right? Like after this point, I've learnt it. I'm not gonna have the information readily on hand to talk about again. I can see immediately that my placement's really off. I don't know if fixing it is worthwhile, but I think because I've framed it so poorly, I'm gonna have to shift it. You know, this is what I'm trying to match up with. I'll just use a filter. Nope, no I won't. We're gonna do this. Block it out, check the values again, check the values, can't see it. I think my values are starting to muddy a bit. It doesn't matter right now. I just want to get the general idea down, right? So, what are we learning from this shot? You know, it tells us we feel a bit enclosed because of this framing device. You know, having this black border around, having this big rectangle around the outside. These bars which kind of look like prison bars, right? Like that's all. It's all intentional. Everything is intentional. We have an interesting composition because we have a leading line that goes towards this alley. I don't know. This is interesting, right? And then you contrast it with this interesting shape, right? But it's also not just an interesting shape, it's also visually interesting. It tells a story too. It's like some socks hanging from something, you know. You don't have a dryer, you know. You can tell this is how people live. You have this, the way the I've just noticed here, right? The bars aren't straight. They're also slightly slanting downwards. It's a bit wobbly. It's a bit wobbly. Got a weird angle, right? I don't know. What does that tell us? I don't know. It's a bit unsteady. I feel a bit unsteady looking at this. You know, you can tell it's a window. I've just noticed. Some light peeking through. Some light hitting the edge of this thing. I shouldn't use Control Z so much. That's also a bit too much. You know, this light tells us where the light source is immediately, where it's coming from. It also tells us we're underground. You know, we're a bit below because of how it's shot. You know, and when you're looking at this image, like, actually, it's nothing. You can't tell what is back there, but it's interesting. It's interesting to look at. You know, we could do a value breakdown of a value breakdown, right? Like, if we zoom all the way in, there's bars in the reflections. Now, I don't know if that's just the construction of the building, or if that was intentional or what. You know, if you look closely, that's a person, right? There's buildings. It's very clear. Even in the composition, there's a composition. It's like a sub-composition. Wow, that's just blown my mind, actually. What? So this is also another composition. It's like a Y-shaped thing, right? Where you got the black against this big white shape. That's kind of incredible. I knew it. That's the type of insight I want. Right? I think you could look at this image forever. There's so much stuff going on. There's so much stuff, and I think this is key. If you want to make a good film, this shot is the one. If you're gonna focus on any shot, this is the one. This is the one, right? It doesn't matter if you're doing a film, a game, or whatever. Like, give the viewer everything they need in this one shot, and it will leave them with a good impression. Because after that point, I think people can lose focus or kind of just get into the game, or right, like, this is the one that you care about. Cram as much like stuff into the first impression, basically. What are you going to be doing? Like, I think that's why you have such like high detailed video renders in a game, and then as it progresses, you can kind of lose detail, and then when you get to the finale, put everything else there. Like, just go absolutely buck wild, because that's what they're going to be left with. You know, all this fluff in the middle is just like, oh, that's exactly what it is. Like, if they had a good time doing that, playing the game in the middle, but you made a really good, striking first impression, and left them with a banger. You know, like at the very end, that's what makes people go, holy moly, that was really good. You know, it's bonus points if everything in between along the way is really good too. You look at something like Undertale, right? It's well structured, and you got multiple paths to get there and everything. This isn't a breakdown of video games. I'm meandering, but that's it's also important, right? So we spent ages on this one shot. I don't want to move on. I want to keep talking. I want to keep looking. Do I keep sitting here? I don't know. I think I'm gonna like, I think if I click off it, like, that's it. I think this is it. Like, I don't want to do that yet. But I don't know. I'm just gonna keep looking for things. I'm gonna keep looking for things. Like, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm learning right with you. I think a realization is just how incredible some people are. That's what I've learned when learning art. I think there's all these things that you don't see. I think that's the cool part. You start seeing the world differently. I think once you see it differently, I don't think there's any going back now, to be honest. Oh, I was about to get emotional there, but I'm just an emotional person. Maybe. But the thing is, you can't lose that. So talk about the focal point. Is that the focal point? Is this the focal point? But there's multiple? What am I talking about? So the focal point is where you want the eye to go. What do you want the viewer to look at? Usually, I say usually. Yeah, usually, probably usually. The biggest thing is probably the thing you want. That's what the director wants you to see first, right? Or at least the most important thing. They want you to keep looking at everything else. Imagine they'd be happy that someone's doing value breakdowns. As if I'm the first. Like, there's hundreds of thousands of people who've done this. But anyway, this is just how I'm doing it. That's all that matters to me. Probably these socks. That's probably the first thing you look at, because that's the storytelling element. That tells you most of what you need to know, right? And then everything else makes it really interesting, you know. And then the more you look, the more story beats you get, you know. And it's a lot of effort, right? But this is a panning shot that moves down. Excuse me. To the family who's sitting somewhere. I can't really draw perspective coming towards the camera to articulate what I'm trying to say. If we're the viewer right here, looking at this shot, they're behind us, like down here somewhere. Right? That's actually incredibly difficult to try and explain. Okay, so we've learnt a lot about the characters involved. These leading lines are interesting. That's also, I'll use the midterm here. So you can tell it's a building because it looks like a big rectangle. Is that right? It's kind of all related, right? I think an object has kind of associated police sirens. It has associated. That's distracting. That's so annoying. Associated shapes. Like, what are you depicting? It's the form, right? I think once you can draw, it's always in cubes. I swear to God. Once you can draw cubes and associate the shapes with it, I think with the values, what you can do is depict the shape, depict the form. Is that what you're doing? Hold on. We know a building's a big rectangle. I think if you see a ton of cubes stacked next to each other of different shapes and sizes, your brain automatically assumes it's buildings. That's now a cityscape, right? You can contrast it, add some light, and it doesn't matter how much, how little. You could add details on the roofs. I think immediately you can tell that's what it is because of associated shapes, right? I think I need to learn more about associated shapes. We'll come back to that. So, this is a building. This is an associated shape. I can see it within the values. So, something you can do is go a bit deeper with the values. Push one and add another tone, right? Like that's how you get into the nitty gritty, is looking for where's the next band, and generally sitting around like 4 or 5 for a study should be enough. I think if you go too deep, it gets really confusing to follow everything. At that point, you might as well just be stepping into a full painting, right? I think when you're getting started like this, it's more important to get the big shapes, right? So you have so many years to start breaking it down to individual values. I think focusing on it too early is just kind of pointless. You need to get the structure down first, and then worry about getting it like super detailed. I don't quite think that's right. I think the color relativities are off, but I don't want. I think it's gonna be too confusing to try and fix with the brushes I'm using. So I'm just gonna leave it. But you can kind of see there's some sort of vague person shape here, associated shape. I think it's important. This is. I feel like I just uncovered something good there. So a silhouette, a good silhouette comes from. Is it immediately readable? That's a person. But it can also be a bowling pin. It could also be a jewelry bottle. It could also be, it's the same shape, it's the same oval shape. Silhouette of a person could also be a bottle. It could be a dagger. It could be a knife. Silhouette of the person. You keep the structure of the silhouette of the person. Put them at an angle. What does that do? Give them arms? That's manipulating it. Don't change it. Don't change the structure. Don't change the angle. What's the structure of this person? This person's standing still. They're just standing there with their arms straight. That's how you fix the silhouette. You can use values to imply other things. It's no longer a person, it's now a bottle. Adding some material shine and some bounce light. Suggestions of. It's now no longer a person, it's now also no longer a bottle, it's now super detailed. It's cracks and crevices. What is that? Still readable. What is it? What's the important takeaway? It's context. It's context, isn't it? You could have the silhouette of a person, but it's not really a silhouette of a person, is it? It's standing next to a chest. It's contextual. The environment tells you a story. The environment tells you a story. You can use associated shapes. You can use use associated shapes to make it seem like something. It's the associated shapes that tell. It's context that changes what the values are signifying. This value structure remains intact every time. Never change that. You never change value structure. You can change everything else. You can change what you paint on top. You could make an image. You could make an image with the same value structure. We can take a blob. Things you put next to it will make it change what you're looking at. Is it the values which do that? No, we need to look at context. We need to look at what is it that actually changes what you're looking at. Because this image could be anything. This image is literally anything. Color? No. Material. The material you depict on top changes what you're looking at. It's not the color that does it. It has to be the material. Is it the material? Oh. Is it the material that does it? Is it the material? What is it? It's not the color that does it. Associated shapes. Context. What is it that does it? It's the combination of everything that does it. It's the combination of shapes. It's the combination of shapes that does it. Reflexivity. Is it the reflectivity? Maybe it's Which one's the important one? What is the important one? What it is, values holds form. Values hold form, they tell us what we're looking at. No, that's wrong. Values hold form. Values give us readability. Values allow us to see. That's why they're so important. We can't see it to begin with unless values are there. Values is step one, always. Composition just makes it look nice. Composition lets us move. Lead the eye. It lets us place the user in the world, the viewer. Composition is the storytelling element. Composition tells the story. Composition is an invitational story. It's the suggestion. Composition suggests the story. That's what makes it fun and engaging to look at. A bad composition will be a bit wobbly. Picking the wrong composition in association with the written story will confuse the viewer. You'll tell conflicting messages. You might be able to do that intentionally if it's needed. You could go up against no. Would you contrast the composition ever? I don't know, maybe. Maybe, but unlikely. Unlikely never. Sometimes, no. Usually not. Usually not. There might be some instances where you might want to use a confusing composition. You might do that intentionally. You might want to intentionally confuse the viewer. You might want to intentionally confuse the viewer by depicting uncertainty, by depicting anxiety, unsettling, confusing. Break the expectation by purposefully going against what the user expects to see, but you still maintain the value structure. You still maintain the value structure every time. There's a shot from Doctor Strange. This scene is intentionally disorientating because of associated shapes. I've already done this one. 2-bar setup, cubes in the background. Why is it disorientating? You have buildings that you don't expect to see at angles, but they're still recognizable as buildings. You still have to maintain recognizability every time. How do you do that? With value. Value holds the structure. Value holds the structure, however, material and texture is what differentiates it? It's what sets them apart. It's what? Material and texture is what? Not makes it interesting. No, that's wrong. Material and texture tell us what it is. Values hold the form. Composition leads the story. Material and texture tells us what it is that we're actually looking at. Because you can't depict material or texture without light. Light tells us everything else that we need to know. Light is the third component of an interesting image, because light informs everything else. We're trying to depict form. Because form is what the world is composed of. How do we do that? We do it with values. Values break it down and make it readable. We use compositions to make it interesting, because natural composition is whatever, right? There's composition everywhere, but that's what photographers do. They pick out interesting ways to depict everything. We have years worth of composition knowledge to share and learn from. There's patterns of interesting composition. Everything is a composition. However, some in particular are more interesting. It's possible to find more interesting compositions, different structures. Maybe they haven't been found yet, but they exist. But it's kind of hard. That's what a viewfinder is for. That's what composition is. It's just how do we frame the world? Now, how do we actually know what we're looking at? It's light. Light gives us all the other information that we need. How reflective it is, how it bounces around, where it's coming from, what colors that should be coming off of it, how much of what lights are in the area. To depict light means you need to understand material. To understand material, you need to understand light. You need to understand how it behaves. But it's always same. There's structure to light. It's you can break it down. You can understand it because it's consistent. It's consistent every time in how it behaves. Meaning, if you can paint a diamond, you can paint anything. If you can make it look like a shiny, transparent object, you understand light. If you can paint a glass fruit, you understand refraction. You understand how light permeates through. You understand how it can shift hues and affect the hues of surrounding elements. If you understand how the hues affect the surrounding elements, you understand the impact it has on the values. You can adjust the values to fix the light, to make an interesting image. These are the three elements that you need. Everything else is just design. Anatomy, expression, clothing, story building, world building, everything else is just built on top of this structure. How you do that is style. What you depict it as is purpose. It doesn't matter, you can if you understand this, you can do anything. Make comic books, make videos. You just need a script. If you want it, you take this core, if you add on someone else's writing, your own writing, you've got a comic. Give it some music, you've got a video. What other media outlets are there? You make it in 3D, you have a sculpture. You can do anything. You can do anything you want as soon as you understand this. I was thinking about, you could do macaroni art if you wanted to, but I think that's the key, is like, do you actually want to? Like, you can pick whatever path you want, depict it however you want, and people will get it. That's what good images are. Most people are drawn to nice renders on full illustrations. It's because they're interesting and well rendered. That's what they're natural. It's like butterflies, but I think you could make an interesting image in other ways too. Illustrations basically, wow. This is the wow piece. It's the wow piece. It's the ones that stop you in your tracks. But underneath every good art is a firm understanding of this. Whoa. Hello? What was this? A Parasite study? What am I doing? Hello? Alright, let's go. Next. Where am I? this image before. This one, he disappears into the values. He disappears into the house. At this point in the film, they're trying to infiltrate this house, this rich family's house. And he feels out of place. You can disappear his silhouette into the building. You can't see him. You can't see him at all. This is his border, but it has the same value structure as the thing behind him. There's a leading line from this path. It's also a secondary focal point. The predominant focal point is this house. It's huge. It's the biggest thing you look at. It feels unnerving, but also you follow up this path because that's the next story beat. It's him entering this doorway. This is how you connect composition. It tells a story because you can anticipate what's coming next. I haven't seen the next image, but it'll probably be in somewhere near this frame. This is not a direct following frame. This happens when he goes exploring around the house. This is happening. He's looking at the backyard. He's noticing the disparities between how their family lives compared to this rich ass family's place of residence, and noticing the difference. This kid is framed as our viewer surrogate. Oh my god. How we see and interact with the world is through the eyes of this character. It places the user inside the story. It places the viewer, it makes it feel like they're part of it by having someone, no matter what, having a story told through their eyes. In every shot. It's in every shot. It's in every single shot. It's in every shot. He's with his sister. He's with his family. He's together. It's always him. It's always him. You can't... Is that him? I can't remember the story. They're together. This shot signifies unity. This one shows how close he is to his sister. It's framed together. They're close. The environmental storytelling gives us everything else. The toilet, the background elements tell us where they are. Contextual elements show us how they live. Everything's a story element. You can see, despite his hands on a fucking toilet, but they're still just hanging out. I remember this shot they leap, they check out the news on their phones together. They're looking for a signal on their phone, so they come in here together. But at the same time, it also tells us a little bit about their relationship. This guy's a genius. But you can learn it. That's the important thing. And you can do it yourself. So what comes first? The story. The composition depicts. You don't pick the composition. The story sets the composition. Can an image exist with no context by itself? That's an illustration. An illustration doesn't... What is an illustration? Illustration is highly rendered, static, self-contained image. An illustration can be used for anything. If it's small, it's a TCG card. If it's big, it's a painting. That's all it is a still image of itself that has its own story beats. That's all. It's contextual. You could put it in a book. That's a comic. No. Might be a comic. Could be a comic. Could be part of a larger... Could be a still within the confines of a TTRPG. It could be something like a D&D image. An illustration can be simple. It can be a sticker, a chibi sticker. It's still an illustration. It doesn't have to be highly rendered. Highly rendered are the ones that stand out because they're highly rendered. To people who don't see the world this way, those are the ones that stick out because they're fun to look at and they make you go wow immediately. That's all. But it isn't the only way. There's so many images, there's so many types of images. You could... That's what concept art is. Concept art is generating ideas at a rapid pace, and then someone else takes it up to an illustration. Because this person's job, this is what I want to do, is to go fast, and to produce ideas fast, and make it exist to begin with. You know, to generate ideas, that's... Yes, that feels right. I don't like rendering. Why would I try pushing that much rendering if I just don't like doing it? Same way I don't really like doing tedious line art. Why am I doing it? I stopped doing it. That's style. What you go into, you don't pick that. It chooses you. It chooses you based on how you interact with the world, what you like to depict. You don't pick a direction. The direction picks you. Something that you're suited for you comes about because that's what you are naturally proficient at, or can do without thinking. It's the sum. what you end up doing depends on what you're drawn to, what your interests are. No one can dictate that for you. You have to work it out. You have to work it out based on how you do things. What processes you enjoy. That's why no one can tell you how to be an artist. You just are. You just are. It's how you think, it's how you interact with the world. That's what it means. You see it? This guy's so smart. Look at this. The kid has just entered the house. The kid has just entered the house and you already have been given contextual awareness of as to what you're going to see. Silhouette doesn't matter. It's striking. We got lots of interesting shapes in the picture frames. There's something interesting in the picture frames which is denoted by a related dark tone. It's white. It looks white. The painting itself is a photograph which has been well composed. It looks white, but it doesn't stand out. That's values. That's a well composed painting in a well composed painting composition. Fuck me. Alright, it's color relations. Should we do a composition breakdown of this one? This is just a big white triangle next to. Sorry for painting over your painting. This is intentional. These are the characters in the film. Obviously. They went out of their way to make a photograph of this. Yes. And then composed that photo well for a single frame that goes by in the span of a second? Are you kidding me? This film's really good. There's so much to talk about. The composition, the story, it tells everything all at once. This is why this is a really amazing thing. Because this guy has planned everything meticulously. If you've ever seen the playbook, the storyboard for this film, it's incredible because of this. Every single element is planned, and it probably took years to do. Look at this, it's just incredible. So, let me shake. I got into the flow again. Let's do a breakdown. This part of the story, that's the mother. This is the housekeeper. Every element is placed intentionally, huh? Every single one. We're viewing this scene through this character. It's interesting. It's in the foreground. It draws us immediately. It's a downward looking perspective, which is hard to draw, by the way. Practice that. we've been given all the contextual things we need. Like this family is rich. We saw it in the big garden. We know where it is. We know where it is. We've not met any of the family that owns this house yet, but we can already feel this natural border from the glass pane. Just talking, it's like we're talking down, you know. It's like we're taking the perspective of this character, but we're also learning about this character before we've even met them officially. You know, it tells us everything we need to know. They're off on their own. It's a rule of thirds composition too. 2/3, 1/3 in. This is layers on layers, and you can only do that because you've done all the setup. Something like this can only really work in a flow like a film. A standalone image, it might be harder to do. Actually, I think that's what a comic is. It's a series of related images. It's just paneled. The way panels flow is the same. It's the same structure. One leads into the next. One story composition informs the next. It's a build-up. This has been a build-up for the last few shots. For the past, I don't know how long it takes to get here. Like 10 minutes. Probably not even. But this is like the closing, quote-unquote, closing remark before we get into the meat. I think this... Where does this take place? In the first third of the film? I think this might be the closing shot of the introduction, actually, come to think of it. I assume. I'm guessing. I haven't seen the rest of the shots yet, but I think I'm anticipating the next shot to be establishing a new scene, like a new story beat. I think. Gut feeling. There might be more. Based on this lead off, you know, I think the takeaway is like everything's kind of building towards we're gonna meet this character. Everything up to this point has been establishing scenes, compositions. Everything has been leading up to the juice. This character is our entry into the story. That's what she represents. But before we've even met her, we know everything we need to know. She's this character. She's part of a family. She's rich because of the house. There's photos of them on the walls. It tells us everything. It tells us everything. Is that her too? Might be. With a baby or something. We can see she has kid art on the wall. Oh my god. This is wild. I think she has associated shapes. This gesture. It's very straight. It's very proper. Very composed. People don't sit like this. This is unnatural. I think even someone who's rich, people don't do this. Well, if they do, it feels fake. I think to me, I don't know, this shape, this unnatural silhouette. I think I've just uncovered the unnatural silhouette. It's still human shaved. But this tells us all the character traits that we need to know before we've ever met them. The posture is rigid. Same with the housekeeper. Why is the housekeeper straight? But they're also on the other side of this. It is a bit unusual to have the housekeeper. His head is too high up. It's a triangle composition too. 3 focal points. That's a leading shot. 1. Our eye goes to the housekeeper. Then it crosses into this character. This character is our bridge. This character, right here, is key because that's what allows us because I know the story, I know what's happening with this character. If something unusual happens to her, it stands out because she's our bridge. She's our bridge into this world. This character is... So who do we have? We have the viewer surrogate. We have the story character. And we have the bridge. We have the bridge character. Oh yeah, and then there's related characters. There's the family who will come back. We've met them briefly. Because they're important. We've met them because they're important and will come back. Don't show them if you're not gonna bring them back. Don't talk about them if they're not important. Because every character has to be important. Well, is that right? Characters can exist to show us how a character relates to a world. They're like supporting elements, NPCs. There's like shop owners or whatever in the background who are talking to the character. It tells us about their personality. What sort of traits No, you don't want to tell about the view surrogate. Don't. Because to make it approachable, you need people to be able to self-insert, to relate. This character needs to be relatable no matter what. People can relate to living in a family. People can relate to not having stuff, to want to interact with this big house and stuff. It's relatable because it's a genuine thing. It's real. You could flip the viewer surrogate to anyone. The viewer surrogate can be anyone in the story. It's just whose eyes we're looking through, but it'll affect every shot after that point. You could retell the whole story through this character's eyes, and it would tell a completely different narrative. That's all it is. I don't know if it would be as interesting. That's what makes it believable. That's what makes a good story. Is it doesn't matter which character you pick. It doesn't matter which one. It needs to be believable. That's what matters. And then you just tell the story from their perspective. that's all. How they interact with the world, you do the same thing. That's how you build a story arc. Narrative, that's how you build a narrative. Building an image is one thing, building an image that flows into the next, that's narrative. A narrative can be anything. It could be a still concept, it could be related imagery, it could be how they're grouped up. That's just presentation. A good artist can do that without saying a goddamn word. I need to stop rambling on my posts, holy crap. Why talk about your own art? Let them just enjoy it. Rambling is for my purposes, getting my thoughts out. Once these thoughts are out, I don't think I need to do it anymore. I can just do it. I think it's nice. I think it's nice to interact, but it's not important for the images. I think once I've locked it in my head, I can stop yapping. Stop yapping so much. I've seen this composition before. This is where this story starts, right? The kid has entered the building. They've officially met now. They've officially met, and I think we know this character is important. And we know this is where the juice comes into play. This is just the standard framing technique. But it's interesting, it's an interesting shot. Still. Two characters in a natural frame. Whatever, the silhouette doesn't matter. It's just the important thing is that it's two characters in a box. And then you can layer different values around the box, but it's the box that matters. Whatever, it really doesn't matter. It gives us like context. I think I've seen interesting shots with leading lines. It's all leading lines because it's a naturally good frame for something. Just because it's simple, it doesn't mean it's bad. Not every shot needs to be like the last one. This tells us everything we need to know. I think the real juice of the story is panning out now. Where's this close-up shot? They're talking. I think two characters near each other implies they're talking in this way. You can also note that there's blur. It's really blurry because he's in the foreground. Sorry for drawing all of your stills. This is it's good stuff. Alright, the blur tells us what the focal point is. This is her. We should be looking at her, but the important thing is that they're interacting. This gives us something to look at. And the lighting. We can look at the lighting as well. Observe everything. Blue bounce, orange coming up from here somewhere as a supporting light. This is just ambient light, right? From the blue of the sky bouncing off the planes on her face. It's all related, everything's related. You've got some interesting shapes around that. Right? Like this is just all lighting. That's what makes it interesting and informs us about what we're looking at. Sorry about that. This is the principle in action, by the way. Big, medium, small. Big, medium, small. That's another 3 composition of focal points. Sorry for drawing on your face again. Anyway, so there's like a dog down here. One, two, three. 1, 2, 3. That's the important thing. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Always keep this in mind. Keep the eye moving, no matter what the shot is. Right. What's happening after this point? I think he's landed a job, maybe, and now he's starts to bring in his sister. So we go back. We already know everything about their dynamic. This is intentional too, right? Like it's not that he's once again two people in a shot. That's 2 people talking. Once again, it's the same composition, right? It's just flipped, so it's interesting. The lighting's different, but it's still the same identical shot. Maybe this is like a good way to lead it, right? But think about it. Just think about it. Everything leads into the last. We've already met this character. We know their dynamic, so we don't need to establish that again. We know they're talking. We know why they're here, because of what has been said in this frame. You know, I can't remember the exact details, right, of what's happening. We can see their personality on their expression. The hand. It's a triple threat again. 1, 2, 3. Same leading lines. Same. Our eyes get drawn by what the person is looking at. It's terrible. This is a very terrible outline. Who cares? Eyes follow the thing that's important, right? Their eyes are meeting. This hand tells us everything we need to know about our personality. Bit confident, almost arrogant, but it's like, don't worry bro, I got this. Like that's the energy she gives off because of the posing. You know, it's good. We have a leading role, our surrogate. We also have our first supporting character interacting with them proper, like coming back. Like they're close. We already know they're close. I've seen this shot before. This is covering up half a face, someone being sneaky. This is hiding in their shadows for whatever reason. Why are they hiding? Who knows? It doesn't matter. All we know is we cut off. The value's wrong. We want dark value behind them. We want them to blend in. To hide a character means to obscure them a bit with the lighting. Not dark enough. The lighting, the value key, low key, lighting for hiding. Every value, you can't see her face because it's a similar value, but you can tell it's a person's face a little bit because of lighting. Lighting comes up from this side, hits the face. I don't know what's happening in this shot because I can't remember of the story, but I think this is the kid, maybe. Or is it her? It might be her, actually. Can't remember. Contextual, we can work it out though. I'm not gonna look. Contextual signifies it's this character. Hiding. They're eavesdropping, aren't they? In this shot. With the conversation that was happening between this character. So if I had to anticipate the shot that is coming next, it would be flipping the perspective camera to now be what other characters have we met? We've met this one and the housekeeper. Is the bridge. So whatever's coming up, it should be. We know we're now taking this shot, this hiding shot. Signifies we're now taking the perspective of this character. We're now no longer following this one. It's shifted to this character, meaning we now have to start looking through their eyes, right? We have to flip the camera to show what they're looking at, which is likely, we know it's inside the house because of this shot. We know they've come into the shot. They're watching something. What are they watching? We have to take into awareness who we met, right? Who could possibly exist? This character, and the housekeeper. The bridge. It's unlikely to be this guy. It's unlikely to be this guy. Because this was the pass-off point, I think. This shot was the moment we passed the torch on. Like, okay, now let's tell the story a little bit. I'm imagining we'll probably come back to this guy at some point, right? Because I think this is also our bridge into the family. So, before even looking ahead, I think in a few minutes I'm probably going to be talking about how this character we now take their perspective and then flip it into the eyes of perhaps their parents at some point. That's what I'm anticipating. Because of everything that's been set up so far. How that's done is irrelevant. No, that's wrong. How we have everything we need, right? These opening shots have provided everything we need. Now we can tell the story, and we can do and jump around a bit because we know everything. We have all the pieces, at least for this beat of the story. So let's flip. Let's go into the next frame. What is happening? What have I done? So the next shot should be probably somewhere in the room, right? Oh, it's the mother. I think is this because I'm taking from screen.com. Shout outs to the website, by the way. This entirely possible because of the website. I think if you do this actual frame by frame, it'd be something along those lines, right? The shots that I'm using here are also because they're the ones that the person who made the website has picked out, right? These are the shots that they found interesting, which is a composition in itself. You know, we have a few different elements again. We have deeper value while this silhouette is also hiding a little bit. We know they're coming up the stairs because of the composition. It's the same natural frame box again. But at the same time, it's also establishing the house more. We have the what looks like trophy cabinets, boxes in the back with all this decoration and stuff. That's a story building. That's environment. Environmental storytelling is also important. It means I need to draw more objects. That's what I need to do. This is also terribly formed. I formed this really bad, but the general structure is there. There's so much content here. My brain feels like it's on fire and I need a drink. Did I anticipate it wrong? Or did we just jump? I'm not sure. Anyway, maybe this is a different type of shot then. Maybe we don't have to have a interaction. Maybe that last shot was important because it established more of the relationship between the guy and his sister. Now we don't have a. No, I'm gonna reach the wrong conclusions because I'm not looking at it frame by frame. I need to remember what's happening. The father has now been brought in. Maybe those shots just flew by really quick. Maybe they existed, but then they're not important, so you spend less time on it, right? I think the important element is the interaction that's about to happen between this character and the one he's looking at in the review. Because I know from watching the film that he's talking to. Is he watching the mirror? Yeah. He's talking to the father in the household. It's in the playway in the city. This is environmental storytelling. Layer grouping. We have lighter elements in the background. We have the brightest elements. High contrast around the character. That's the focal point. It's the biggest thing. That's the thing that's important, not anything else. What's going on in this shot? Why is there so much bloom? Sky looks almost godlike, you know? There's a bit of a reverence to him. Like he just doesn't get. This guy is cloaked in shadow a bit more. This one's backed by light. If I put these shots side by side, you probably feel like I'm looking at a Renaissance composition. But this is interesting. The eyes guide the. We know he's in a car. We know it's a mirror. So the next shot is in the car. Is what he's looking at. So now all of a sudden we're taking on this guy's perspective and how he's seeing the world. Right. I remember this film. Because this guy really looks up to this guy, or what he represents rather. This is it's important. Like this interaction is very important to the story later. I think it's all set up because how this guy feels is incredibly important to everything that's about to happen. I'm just gonna leave that here. Yeah, it's a car. Just keep going. There's so many shots. I want to do them all. I don't know how long I've been going. Just trying to speed up a bit. This is the viewer surrogate in a bath. This is him having a moment to indulge in first time indulging in the house itself, right? The house itself is also a character. The house is what it represents. I think this is what this shot is. I think it is now no longer a place where they're interacting. It is now something to be interacted with. Let's keep going. I think you see this sort of shot a few times. It's a bit more chaotic. There's a lot happening with lots more characters. I think if you want to create noise, you add more characters. It's a bit unsettling. Like, I feel really uncomfortable looking at images like this, because it feels anxiety provoking. Is this the establishing shot? I can't remember what's happening. Who is this? The housekeeper? This was his kind of important, but I think the main takeaway is a lot of people. It's a bit unsettling. I think, is this a hospital? Maybe. What do we? It's a hospital. It's a hospital. It's a bit distressing. We can tell it's busy because there's so many people. There's little story elements in every frame within a frame. We have this guy looking this way, hidden in the thing. We have this interaction between mother and child. I think looks like checking teeth. Oh, no, playing. I don't know. It doesn't matter. They're interacting. Have people checking notes. We have people just walking in. Everyone's doing different things. You know, it makes the world feel alive. Everyone's doing different things. If you want to make it feel alive, the silhouettes need to feel like they're doing stuff. The characters need to feel like they're living in the environment. But at the same time, this shot exists because of this interaction, this film. That's the thing that's important. They're on the phone. We can tell what sort of character on phone, big trope. It's useful because it is its own thing. Character on a phone trope. We tell what type of phone call it is based on the expression. Expression tells us they're looking a bit worried. We anticipate the phone call is going to be kind of bad news. We know it's about health because we're in a hospital. We're unsettled because of how busy it is. It's interesting. It's an interesting shot because of all the planes, lights and everything. It's visually chaotic and busy, but it's not unreadable. It's intentionally chaotic. Do we do any leading lines? This character feels a little small, don't they? They're like blending in a little bit with everyone else. I think it tells us this character isn't the main character, but they're important, just like everyone else. I think think this is very relatable. Everyone's on the same side. There's no like visual hierarchy that there's someone being better than others. Except maybe this guy, which looks like the father from the last shot. I think it's him. He stands out. This character stands out. I think the next interaction, because he's probably moving, right? In this shot, he might be the only person who's moving in this way, like downwards, down this escalator. Meaning, this is the shot I'm anticipating. It's an interaction between these two next. That's what I read. That's what I read this image as. I think if that was the housekeeper, I think that might have been him learning something. I can't remember the full story. But at this point, he's well and truly part of the story. There's a lot to learn from this film. They're emerging from the darkness in this shot. We know they're coming towards us, the camera. I think it's all emerging. Imagine the next shot would be now flipping. He's probably use these shots to communicate movement, transition of scenery, perhaps, of location switches, while simultaneously telling the story. We keep it moving, right? They're talking. This person, the expression is worried. We know that this is an anxious character, despite us remembering that shape, right? They seemed so arrogant at the time, but actually we learn a bit more about them. Maybe their anxiety actually plays into the story quite a lot, right? I think how worried this character is about everything ends up bringing in all the supporting family. That gives the story beat. That's their in. It's a believable story because it's like we know this character is likely to do something like that. It wouldn't be believable if they were super composed and just like dominant, right? It's because like someone who thinks like that wouldn't hire people willy-nilly. They feel believable. I think it's a gullible character, right? I think that might be the trait. Whatever traits the characters have to be related and make sense to the types of actions that are going to have throughout the film. That's what makes it believable. You don't pick the traits, the story kind of dictates what sort of personality they need to have, I think. Which way around is it? So when you're designing a character, you should imagine the world they're living in and what sort of impact they're going to have on it before picking and laying out their personality. It's not the personality comes first, it's they have the personality because of the world they live in and how they interact with it. I've seen this shot before. I've not tried to draw it yet. This is the reflection shot. I think it denotes whenever someone is thinking, what's happened? Pondering something. The reflection shot. I'm calling it the reflection. we learn about this character. We know they're young. We know they're pensive. We also know we see they're wearing a little crown made of feathers, a headdress. I think is the symbolism in that. Later on in the film, I can't remember exactly what happens, but anyway. The important things to note right here. They're reflecting, they're thinking about something. The important things that make it interesting to look at. We have depth of lighting. That's just the visual flair, I think. We have composition to frame the shot. Everything past this point is just noise. The focal point is over here with the character. We have interesting colour choices. It's colourful. It's colourful. Colourful headdress. Reflective. It's a bit soft blue. I see blue hues in this shadow, which contrasts with the warm tones of the lighting. Looks like a windowsill. Orange on blue, striking. Colourful, piques your interest, it draws the eye. So the important thing to look at is this focal point. You can force the eye by adding colour, adding detail. Adding stuff. You can liven up the back by including other related values and details. I think what it is just contextually world building. You can passively build the world behind the scenes while establishing the story. I think that's the rest of the house, right? All these different shots, it shows us the layout of the house. Next. Character walking away from camera. Same leading line composition. Silhouette of a person. That's the thing that matters. That it's we can balance the values later. Just keep learning composition. We can tell it's blurry, the very leading lines. I don't know what this shot represents yet. Next. It's the boss. We're back in the house. We have oh, this is sad. This is the anticipation shot for what's gonna happen later in the film. It is what do you call it? Like not a Chekhov's gun. It's can't remember the name. You basically anticipate what's going to happen later in the story by introducing something related earlier on. That's what you're doing. I know because I've watched the film later that this house gets flooded. There's a lot of talk about water, I think. I think the things that are happening in the story are also related to water. So later when it does flood, it's not out of nowhere because you've already been prepped. It's not just suddenly like, whoa, 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 where is this coming from? No, this is... I know. I've seen this shop before. I don't know what it is. Striking thing on a white background. Object, sunglasses in the sky. I've seen this shot before. What is this shot? Does it represent something? I don't know what this is. Symbolic, maybe? Into something. Next. It was a pensive shot. This is the child from earlier. They were thinking about something, looking towards the sun. They're on a walkie-talkie. It's a telephone. It's a telephone shot. They're talking to someone. I think earlier on we saw who they were talking to, who was father. They were talking to their father. The shot changed because we saw this. It was an establishing shot. We saw the sunglasses. We know we're looking through their perspective. We've now flipped. The shot's interesting because of the perspective. We're looking down at them. The lighting is coming from up here because of shadow. We know they're interacting with father. They're having fun. What were they thinking about? This character is important because they're dreaming. They're a thinking character. They're young, but it doesn't matter. Their age is irrelevant. It's they got dreams. They're thinking. That's the important takeaway. Character trait is pensive. I've seen this shot before. It's a scene. It establishes the scene. It's the house again. We've seen. This is the same. We now know what it is because we've seen it from different perspectives. It matches the earlier silhouette from when he was walking towards the house, so we know exactly what it is instantly. We've seen the backyard, so we know this is where we're coming from. It's moody. It's dark blue. It's dark blue. Atmospheric. Blue, dark moody is atmospheric. So even though it's contrasting because these characters look out of place. There's loads of them and they're doing something abnormal in a strange location. The setting feels dark and gloomy, but they're having fun. Why is that? How could that be? There's a Pomeranian. I love Pomeranians. It's irrelevant. The sky is interesting because of the colours. The house itself feels ominous and looming. Like something bad is going to happen, but they don't care. The house itself is a character. It's unsettling. It draws the eye. It's contrasted against the sky. The sky behind it is light. Why are they having so much fun? They shouldn't be having fun. It's unsettling. Why are they having fun? That's the question you ask. That's the question that the viewer is left with. That makes them want to know more. This is unusual. It's an unusual shot. The contrast comes from the actions of the characters. The visual interest comes from the contrast of the colors. The color choices denotes the atmosphere. Next. We're back inside. Why? What are we doing? It's founding again. I can't remember what's happening. I can't remember. They're all together now. All the characters have been united. We've met all the characters individually up to this point. We know their personalities. We know that they're close already. They're together. They're doing something. Whatever's going to happen next, they're in it together. That's the takeaway I'm getting. Characterization. We don't need to know. We don't need to establish the characters anymore at this point. We already know who they are. We know that it's contrasting. It's contrasting because of this mess. This object mess that they've created. It's an interesting silhouette. Of bottles, of clutter. They've created clutter in an otherwise still location. They're interacting together. They're united in whatever's happening. They're united in their mess. They don't belong here. That's the feeling I get from them. They're not supposed to be here. And they're all not supposed to be here together. They feel like intruders. They feel relatable because we've already met them. We know what they're like and how they live. Next. This is the mother character, I believe. She's looking at something. I want to know what she's looking at. That's the establishing shot. We have visual depth with a blurry background, characters in the blurry background. This is silhouette. We have a silhouette of the characters in the background. We have visual interest coming from the blue and the orange. The blue is the predominant light. The expression is a bit worried. She's worried. The orange is the supporting bounce light on the face. We have something happening back here. It doesn't matter. It's blurry. Next shot should be, we want to find out what they're worried about. I think they discovered something, perhaps. They discovered something because they're all together investigating something, because this character heard noise. They're investigating the basement together. It was unsettling. What is happening in this story at the moment? They've only just discovered the there's a spoiler warning. You should leave if you don't want to know. Last chance. Alright. They found the hidden cellar under the house. Rule of thirds, we have two characters. We know they're close. We've just met them, but they're unusual. They stand out. Why are they here? This is unexpected. This is characters hiding out. This is the housekeeper, by the way. This was our bridge between these characters. And the house. this character is our bridge between this bridge and the house. They bridge us between this character and this character. No, this character. This is the mother who does the most interacting with this character because she's our interact. This character is our bridge. This character is going to do something weird to this character. We don't need to know. We've interacted with this character very little. This is there because now it's important to know this character. This is our bridge into the world. This is the person that gets us there to do it. We know that because this character is the one who discovered the underground. That character bridges us between whatever's happening in this underground scene and the family. She's called up to the family to have a look at this weird situation. Interesting things to note. I see bright light here, bright light here. We have characters emerging from the darkness. Here, 1, 2, 3. This one's clouded more. It's in the back. Why is that? I don't know. This one feels important. This one's different. This character is doing something weird because of lighting. How is that happening? The light is directly behind his head. Is that visual interest? Focal point, focal point, focal point. 1, 2, 3. Visual interest, you can control visual interest with flow. Focal point, brightest light. Focal point, doing something weird. Focal point, hidden shadow. 1, 2, 3. Triangle composition. Next. Walking towards the camera, same composition as earlier. Why? It's different this time. Looks like this. Looking at the phone. I'm gonna call this the phone composition. I can see contrasting lights. The color key is greenish. Green, unsettling. It's weird. We know this. Green makes things look alien. Bright green makes it look colourful and interesting and fun. Colour key purple. Purple mood atmosphere was also a bit unsettling. Purple can also be royalty. Blue was a bit unsettling. Green, eerie and atmospheric. Lights denote leading lights. We have leading lines. We have bright light. We have character silhouette. We have them looking at their phone. I don't know what they're talking about. It's interesting. There's a slight glow coming from the phone. We have straight lines, parallel lines. We have noise. We have visual interest coming from the walls. Lights bouncing. We have bounce light. We have rim light coming off the lighting. We can establish coloured lighting. It doesn't hit the character. Hits their face. The important thing is this visual interest following the eyes. Composition That's the important thing. Focal point, we usually run to the face, what they're looking at. Are there interesting elements? This is a Y composition with leading lights. Character shot. These characters are strange. I've seen this shot before. This character behaves erratically. They're cut out of frame. Why are they cut out of frame? It's like they're hiding. It's like they're hiding something. It's like they're not supposed to be here. So it's framed as that. They're not here. This is a bridge character. Bridge character between what we see and this character. This character is important to the story. Every character is important to the story. Visual noise. We have lighting on the planes. We have blur in the background. We have blur in the background. Do they blend in? We have high contrast around his head. We have planes following face. Don't call it a face, it's a shape. Shadow shape. What is the shadow shape? It's a square. Same on the neck. Facial silhouette is a bit around. Character. Lobby. You can see the double chin. Where's the focal point? Bright light up here. Irrelevant blur. Not bright enough. No, too bright. Saturated red light. Something like that. Close enough. There's a green one too. Too bright. Darker. Nope. Not dark enough. Too dark. Next. No. Closer. Too light. No. Doesn't hide enough. Closer. How close? Hue wrong. Got the hue wrong. It's more yellow. I don't know what is causing these lights. It feels alien. Is it a machine? They look unnatural. Where are we? Are we still in the underground? I'll work it out later. Next. Can I fit more on the page? Yes. Composition. The colors look the same as the shot from earlier. Green. It's the same lights. It's the same lights. Does that mean we're in the same place? I'm spun out. I'm not sure where we are. Pause. the same lighting, we have the same lighting structure. It means we've been here before. We're now focused on something else. We're now focused. We've established where we're going to be earlier. Now, the important thing is the character interactions with the location. We have focal points 1, 2, 3. We have big, medium, small. These lights, we don't need to establish where we are again. Expression on the face, worried, immediately unsettling. Body language, unsettling, arms folded. Face, it also tells us about the character. This tells us how all the characters are interacting with this new environment. This is an environmental shot. I think this character is probably how we're going to be interacting. This is our surrogate. Where they're looking, this indicates how we will be interacting with the scene. The poses of the characters represent how each of them is feeling and reacting to what they're seeing. It will tell us what sort of story beats they will have later. This person's face looks worried, surprised, confused. This character looks a bit more reserved, or lax. There's a bit of laxness coming off of these two characters in the back. What is this character looking at? The father, maybe. This is the leading line. This draws our eye to the focal point. The body language denotes how they're reacting to the situation. Tertiary, to balance it. 1, 2, 3. Big, medium, small. This character is looking at the light, unfocused. Why is this character? It's an unsettling situation, this one. This contrast creates tension. We want to know what's happening. Either what this character is looking at, or why is this one not caring. Both are important. One balances the other. This is the balancing focal point to all the other elements. We have established everything we need to know about these characters up to this point and the location. We can start layering composition because we've built up to this point. Because the read, if you include too much at once, gets confusing. So you don't need to establish the lighting and environment anymore because we've already done that. Now we can focus on the interaction of the characters. The focal point is the characters. This character is behaving erratically in this situation. We know she was reserved from earlier. Not reserved, wrong. The attitude was weird, like confident. It's like this character is in their own world. This character feels strange. We have a connection to them because of this character. These two blows. We care about this character. We've established care because this was our focal point. This character is our focal point. The story thus far has led us to know that this is a unit. They will move together, but this character stands out. This character stands out too much. They're behaving weird. the way they behave is irregular to people. We learn this. They're background elements in this picture, but we know we're still learning about them. We have lots of visual cues about the characters themselves, body language, clothes, all the clothes that they wear, t-shirt. It's irregular. This shape is irregular. The important thing is it's asymmetric. It's the same shape. We can tell it's a shirt. This character is just wearing a jacket or something. This character, out of shot. That's their gimmick. That's their thing. This character looks a bit disheveled. The shop where they're being blackmailed. The way we see is through the lens. We see what's happening. That's the focal point. We see the characters with their hands up. It's an unusual silhouette. We can tell it's the camera. It's the same shot. We know it's blurry. It's blurry. The silhouettes in the background are blurry. There's a lot of phones in this film. Phones and cameras are our gadgets. They're relatable. They're tools that a lot of people interact with the world with. They provide a static scene. They frame. The phone is being used to frame what is happening. But the real story is much deeper. The phone is being used to portray a story element in the film where it's false. Portraying through a screen can tell a false narrative. That is a compositional tool you can use. Elements in the background are being blurred. Phones are a framing device. Cameras are the same. Establishing shot. We can tell it's a scene change because the color is different. We have big light box. Wrong, not close. We have foreground element. 1, 2, 3, 4. I see an interesting shape. Here. You can tell the chairs. Kinda looks like a cinema. We have two characters, silhouette. is a different scene. Key lighting differences. Bright orange. Color scheme. We have a bit of blue supporting bounce light. It's a bit green here. Green coming from environmental bounce light up here. Comes back down. Light bounces like this. Bounces all around the room and back down. It's striking. You can do this because light is coming through this big window. The silhouette is creative, high contrast, visually interesting. 1, 2, 3, 4. Secondary focal point, tertiary, supporting, looking out into the backyard, or wherever this is. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Focal point 1. 2. And then we want to look at where they're looking at. Next shot would probably be something like to do with whatever is going on out there. Leading composition. Next. I've seen this shot before. I know this character. Very flat, it feels different. This character is related to the flat. This character is related to light. This is the father coming home. You see their silhouette walking up the stairs. We know where we are. This will be important. This is an establishing shot. Story beat. I need a word for that. It's a halo. Halo around the light. They're holding something. That's interesting. Keys. Key fob. Something was happening in the story. This light is important. Composition, flat. What do I call this? This reminds me of a landscape. Silhouette too big. Important element is the light. Not blurred. Character blurred. Small. Walking up the stairs. Character is our lens currently. Background element is what's going to come up later. I know this because I've seen the film. Next is a big spoiler shot. Heads up, we're halfway through the film. We've established the location. This is the composition from earlier. We're zoomed in. This is the turning point of the film. Everything goes dark at this point. Flat. It mimics this. Same frame, but narrower, like the walls. It's the inverse. It's the inverse. This bar establishes the composition. This was light. This character is related to light. This character is related to light because of how the father views them. They're important to the story because this character is the direct antithesis of this character. This is why it's being portrayed this way. This character acts aloof and irreverent, almost saint-like, completely oblivious to what's happening in his basement. This shot is the same shot, but it's inverted. I see the lights, light, halo, bloom. I see still, cold, block. I see character hiding in the values. This shot is important because it's creepy. No, it's creepy because you've done the setup. It's unsettling because it contrasts everything else that's been set up. You can hide something in the values. This could be darker. Something emerges out. The thing that stands out is the eyes. It's very disturbing. This character is framed. This character is framed like this. You don't ever see the full face. The cropping technique plays a character out of shot, out of the composition, if you want them to make him feel out of place. That's intentional too. This whole film is about feeling out of place. You can do this elements because you have a strong story. You have a strong story because you have planned visual elements. I don't know what comes first, both at the same time probably. One informs the other. You can't have one without the other. These compositions can only exist in this sequence because someone planned it. Not you. Wide angle. It denotes scene change. Story beat change, maybe. Bigger brush. Low key lighting. I see orange, I see dark orange. I see a band. Bright. I see two silhouette characters. In the orange. I know it's a character silhouette because of the rim light. This character is bathed in the light. We know they're talking because it's two characters. Placement, rule of thirds. There. Focal point 1. Focal point 1. No. Leading lines composition. The single focal point. With leading lines pulling towards the interaction. Flat. Composition is leading lines. Next. With characters hiding in. Characters hiding is a trope. They're in an unusual place. They're under the table at this point in the story. Soft glow from the phone. That's the light. I What's the focal point? Big, medium, small? No. These three characters are framed together again. Big, medium, small. 1, 2, 3. Triangle composition. Skin tone. Dark value. Too orange. Make it paler. Not enough red. Close enough. No. Orange. Dark value. Too bright. Saturation. Need it darker. Too bright. Darker. Hue looks off. What is this color? Nine value. Orange hue. What is that? Brown? Better? How close did I get? Not close enough. I'm too bright. Less saturated. There's a bit of grain. Something like that. Good enough. Dark from hue shift. Supporting element. Light coming from the phone. It's not a phone. Don't call it a phone. Light. Something hidden in the shadows back here. Another blurry element back there. This conversation feels tight, enclosed. Claustrophobic. They're under the table. We want to know what's on the phone. No. Stop calling it a phone. We want to know what this character is looking at. Because of the light it emits. This is control over light. Next. Triangle composition. We know it's the background. The lighting is shifted. Everything's much darker now. The tone of the film has shifted. Low-key lighting for everything up to this point. Not bright enough. Pure white rarely exists. Rarely exists. Halo. Rim light, halo. Something like that. We can fix it later. Slight glow here. I see lens flare. Blue? Lens flare. That's after effects. Ignore it. Important composition elements. It looks like a triangle. Or is it a circle? It's a triangle in a circle. A value track. It's bright. The 10 is the triangle. Composition in a composition is a thing you can do. seen this one before. Wrong. Do something like that. These characters are soaked. I see leading lines with the lights. They look uncomfortable. They're in a row. It's these three framed together again. It's these three framed together again. We no longer need to look at the fourth character because he's no longer relevant to the story. Because that character was our link into the rest of the story, which has been discarded. These three are still going to be relevant to the story. We can't lose this one. This is our surrogate. This is the one we're supposed to care about. This is the dynamic that matters. Interesting composition, leading lines. Characters moving towards it. They'll probably leave. This was narrowly escaping the house, I think. Something like that. They're running away from something, not running towards something. Did we establish that? Don't know. They barely got away. Placement of the characters as well. Two character interaction. Emotional beat, I think. It's warm colours, warm hues. Because it's an emotional moment, everything up to this point. This acts as the emotional pivot point to contrast. A moment of tenderness, I think, in another words. The emotional beat is used to establish some form of connection, some contrast, some feeling. Everything has been a bit dark and dreary. It acts as a nice contrast. It's a relaxation, something a bit moment of human. Something like that, I don't know. Relief, emotional relief. Yeah, okay. The characters went through something quite tense. This is them breaking away from it. We need a moment of release for the viewer. It also establishes how they're reacting after. Not doing this means you're left questioning that they don't feel real. If they just carry on business as usual, it doesn't matter. It was a stressful situation. They needed to talk it out. Same thing. This time they've added a character, which was these two first. because this is the dynamic that is most important, but it's also important to establish these three as a unit because they're still relevant to the story. Key lighting is still the same. Orange warmth connection. It's raining, but it's still orange. Focal point 1, 2, 3. 1. That's how we always look to this guy. Looking at our surrogate here. Then supporting element who's living in their own world in the back. Rim light. You see rim light around the characters. It's too bright. Something like that, I don't know. I'm gonna have rain, water, symbology again. There's a lot of water in this one. Next story arc, I think that was the bridge. The emotional release was the final beat before the next major incident. The house gets flooded and it changes everything. Leading line composition. I need words for these compositions. It's like a tunnel. It's a hallway. Two characters. I see two characters. How did they do this shot? Did they actually flood the place? Set design. Clutter. Fabric everywhere. Still readable. Good values. Character looking down at something. 1. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Follow the leading line. That's the next. Which way around is it? I need to see. Yeah, no, that was right. 1, 2. How do you do that? Focal point 1. Eyes leading. Focal point 2. Eyes leading over here. Focal point 3. Finish shot leads into this guy's perspective. This is the next guy's perspective. This shot flows into the next. This was important because he's probably talking about something. Now we want to see this person's reaction to something specific. I see. I've seen this one before. Shadow shapes, we can just do shadow shapes. Silhouette. We have leading lines. Going back. It's framed in the center. Characters framed in the center. I see reflection. Light. Light here. Light. We have blur. We have blur around the edges. Vignette? How do I pronunciation? I've squashed it. Changes the feeling. Better to look at this one. Character is framed in approximately this third. This half doesn't matter. This is the next shot. Something in this room. Something in this room is going to be the next shot. Probably. Something changed. This is getting tired. Change of perspective. Top down. Why are we in a top down? To establish something. What's happening in this shot? We were in it, and now we're establishing the same on a wider scale. We need to now know how the environment is responding to it. It's a disaster situation. Now we have to establish the emotional beats of what's happening. Meaning, at this point in this final leg writes itself if you've done everything correctly up until this point. You don't need to actively do anything. Because that's what an ending is. This will be the tension point. Build up to the climax. Some dramatic thing happening, and then downward. I see a light. This looks like a focal point. Another one up here. Leading lines coming off the cables here. Where's the supporting one? Looks like there's a supporting one in the background here. 1, 2, 3. This character is placed intentionally. They're not just standing there. They're standing at the exact edge of the triangle. They stand up because they're the only other person there. I see blue light. Dark value. I've seen this shot before. This feels like a reflective moment. We're focusing on the reaction of one character. This is the transitional shot. We're moving to this character because they're now pivotal for the rest of the story. It's framed. I've seen this frame before. Someone else. You can tell it's a person. You can see what they're doing. Do another. You can see from their pose how they're doing it. think they're worried. The situation they're in is distressing. We have a disorientating shot, just like the hospital. I've seen this shot before. It's now just I don't want to draw that. We have lots of people. Important focal point is this character. They're also on the phone. We see our viewer surrogate. Here is a supporting element. 1, 2. I suppose it's this. Triangle. This is the triangle. 1, 2. Where are they looking? Is that right? They're not really looking anywhere. Because they're disoriented. They've just woken up. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. This is the entire community being disrupted by the flood. My eyes can't focus. It's still readable. Shadow shapes and silhouette. Imagine the crowd as a blur. Don't worry about individual people. It's the shape that's important. This character stands out. Put it in white. No, mid-tone. Silhouetted. Character shapes. Secondary shapes up here. Visual interest comes from blocks of cloth, presumably. We have a line, leading line. The cue creates leading line. Everything is placed for a reason. Intentionally chaotic. This character still has to work and be connected in this situation. The story beat is they've been affected by a flood. Everything's changed now for them. Outwardly, they're showing to this family that everything is fine because they can't know what they're going through. This creates emotion in this character. This is our emotional anchor. You can tell the expression on the face is strong. Bitter, resentful, anger, all of the above. You feel everything. I see a white shape here. I've seen this composition before. It's on the phone. This expression pisses me off. Because we've looked through this frame. It is unfair that they're having a good time. They're on the phone. The conversation, irritating to hear. Probably something about how well they're doing. Something like that. I see blur in the character on the background. We have next. This is how each of the characters are responding to a crisis situation. We have a split composition, reflection shot through a mirror, through a viewer surrogate. We have a line break in the center from a glass plane. It's a 50-50 split. We have dramatic lighting that marries the reflection child from earlier was the anticipation shot for this character to be response, to be reflective. It was already set up that if the character is thinking, this is how they're going to be doing it through a mirror. Now we can focus on something else. Now we can focus on what they're thinking about. That's how you build a scene. The important elements from this shot are set up from an earlier shot that establishes everything else. The lighting that's going to be used, the lighting key, what they're looking at. Something's happening. And now we can focus on what they're thinking about, not the fact that they're thinking. We know from earlier that the kid was thinking, but it didn't matter what they were thinking about. Who did it? Maybe it did. Either way, this is the thinking frame. What are they thinking about? Well, see what they're looking at. We've established that this break is the window. They're looking outside onto this garden party. Everyone having lots of fun colours. I see lots of fun colours. Notably, triangle composition. The child was the bridge into this scene, established way early. Because now we have associations. Associations with shape. This is the tent. The tent triangle. Triangle was related to the child. We have silhouette. We have silhouette. We have silhouette. Silhouette. We have interesting shapes. Important takeaway. These characters are enjoying themselves. You can tell from the keys, from the colours in the shot. Balloons. I see balloons. For the tent, leading lines coming from the panels. This shot pisses me off. These characters are dealing with something really big and they're having fun. Meanwhile, this character takes a pivotal. This character has been underground. I see single character frame. It's important. seen this shot before. They're bloodied. Zoom in on that. I'm off center. It's a center frame. Let's see. I see some value block back here. Brightest point, focal point is the face. Highlights in the cheek. Something like that. Valley arrangement. Brightest at the front. Focal point. It's a lot of blood. Single character shot, focal point on the face. Details don't matter. And something's happened to this character. Diagonal, I see diagonal composition. Where it's unusual. Focal point, 1, 2. Foot is the supporting element. 1, 2, 3. This character doesn't feel real. They feel a bit childlike. We've established the headdress is associated with playful innocence. Two characters. That's the interaction. The interaction is the important thing. But we already know the headspace that this character is in. This one wants to play. Or something. It's like a birthday party or something. Composition. I've placed it wrong. I'm leaning to the right. And going too big. See greens, light greens in the house, something like that. Lime, too bright. Those are the highlights. This looks too saturated. It's fine. all these shots have so much blood. Just gonna skip ahead a bit. I think it's the same for a lot of these. It's a single character shot that establishes what they're thinking, feeling. There's a parallel. It's the same shot but reversed. Reverse perspective. We're close up with this guy. We zoomed out with this one. But it's the same shot. There's a error of reverence again. Always bound by halos. They're looking down. This is a reflection. This character exists as a representation of what this guy wants to see. This one looks up to this one a lot. We know his emotional state has been disrupted because of the flood. And I think at this point in the story, everything's kicking off. There's blood. There's a lot of violence happening in this party now. This is why we focus on these two characters. From the outset, there's two people celebrating a kid's birthday party or something. Doesn't matter. Reality is they're just the same. They're the same person. They're just people. This person is framed with godliness, almost. Something to look up to, but it's just no different. The difference is it doesn't need to worry about the same things. That's the difference. It's relatable, so we understand this character's motivations, so the story doesn't feel surprising. But this can only happen because we've established his mentality with what this character represents. It's like an obsession. So this absurd reaction of going out and murdering a bunch of people is expected. It's wild, but not unheard of. It's not unimaginable that he would do this. Everything falls apart after this point. I think this whole scene is the climax scene. Everything's been building up to this action, essentially, these actions of this character. Now we have to deal with the aftermath, I think. Which is how the character is responding. I think after that scene, we don't know what happens to that guy, I think. This is a contemplated scene again. It's looking at a mirror. It's an establishing shot. We're in a bus. see silhouettes of people. It's about this, the aftermath of this too, because I think the sister was lost in the violence. So now we deal with the emotional grief of these characters. That's why we've brought back this character who wasn't important earlier, but now they're back because they are. Now it's probably about their interactions. They'll probably be framed again. Oh. They're framed together. They're probably talking in this scene, I don't remember. But the important thing is it's a 2-character shot. These are expressions. I think, is this I have no idea what's happening in the story this one. I can't remember the epilogue. I think the takeaway is probably the expression of these characters. Crying. They're looking at something. I think the thing that's important is what they're looking at, which is probably the father at this point. Alright, let's... I think they found him, maybe. I've seen this rock before. We're looking at thirds. We see a light focal point here. Orange light, something like this. This is a writing scene. Okay. I think the important thing is what they're doing. The action is what's important. That's what's being depicted. The close-up shot depicts character interaction. The far away notes the action. The reflection shot in the mirror shows thinking. Next. More blood? I don't want to do that. I'm not avoiding it, I just don't want to force you to see it. We've seen this shot before. It's the same key lighting. We know we're in the underground tunnel. It's established because it's the 1, 2. It's a reflection of the same thing. We've seen this before. Zoom out. Character silhouette here. Doing something, sitting, thinking. This is a parallel from earlier in the film. But now we know, because the father's trapped down here. We have a leading line down the hallway. Did we see this shot before? This was where they were looking around. And they discovered something. This shot is a parallel of that. Important takeaway. Established key lighting has been established earlier on focal points. 1, 2. They're like leading lines. Maybe it's not leading lines. lighting's already been established earlier. The key lighting is used to establish location and mood. Key lighting is used to... Early shots are just there to establish these final shots, so we can focus on what's important later. It's a conclusion. These are the final shots of the film. Establishing shot, bright key lighting, lots of light. It's like dream realized. Light was associated with something to look up to. Clear skies, it's no longer raining, because this is a moment, this is the payoff moment. The thing that matters is the character interaction. Yeah. We have supporting element here. Visual interest. Anyway, doesn't matter. It's very bright. That lighting. We know it's the house. No, it's no longer ominous. It feels welcoming. I think in the story, what's being represented is, what are they talking about? This character has bought the house or something like that. Something. I think the importance is let the viewer create their own conclusions. Ultimately, it doesn't matter. People reach different conclusions themselves, depending on whatever factors in their own life. If the characters are believable, then the story works. This is the closing shot. This is the payoff scene. Without all the other scenes, it wouldn't make any sense, or it wouldn't hit as an emotional moment. It would just exist, which is fine. But you wouldn't do it like this. You wouldn't add all the lights and everything. You didn't need to. You can only have an emotional payoff if you go into it. This is a well-told story. Because all these elements were controlled and planned for and made sense and flowed into the rest with compositional elements. It's a good film because the composition is really good in every shot. Has a reason. To be able to envision that is the hard part. Being able to identify is one thing, but to create it from scratch and see all the scenes pan out, that takes years of hard work. Calculation, planning, testing. To be able to see it is something, to be able to manipulate it and use it is another. I'm very warm. My brain feels like it's on fire. Looks like a closing shot. A parallel to the opener. Let's do it on another Let's grab the opening scene as well to parallel. It's the same shot. It's the same shot. We close on the opener to parallel the difference. Something's different now. Something hanging, a blob. It's the same silhouette. It's moved a bit, but it's the same shot. The lighting's different, the colours are different, it doesn't matter. The overall composition is still the same. Why? Still socks? What's with the socks? Is that snow? This character is missing. Why? There's probably symbology here or something. But it feels different, doesn't it? Is the angle different because of intent? Or because they couldn't get the exact position? Is the value of this underneath intentional, or just because getting exactly the same angle is not possible? This one's thicker, it looks edited. Why is that? Is there a reason for that? I don't know. No, if everything else is planned, then there's a reason for it. They've moved this block. Feels a bit more open. It's the same shot. The lights are different. See, everything's positioned to the left. Focal point, focal point, focal point. As opposed to feeling claustrophobic in the center. This open composition expresses something a bit more, feels a bit more optimistic, perhaps. This one feels close and tight, like trapped in, you're trapped. That's the feeling I feel. I feel enclosed when I look at this shot. This one I feel a bit better. What is this bar? This bar is... it's thicker on intent. Because it makes it feel like everything on this side feel more open. Plus the focal point is over here. But you know it's the closing shot because it parallels this. Everything is by choice. Every decision has been made intentionally. the balance of the bars looks weird. This one's thinner, thicker. I think it's intentional. Everything's intentional. Slight warm, dark, cool tones. You could use this key lighting in any snowy scene, I think. It would look pretty cool. This reminds me of an alien world. Off-world green. You could use green tones for something a bit unsettling. There's probably more underneath. I could probably go frame by frame and learn so much more. These are my thoughts. Oh. Alright, let's break the focus. I'm coming back. Hello? Hi, lost myself in it. It'd be fun to watch this back. How 4 hours? Okay. I think I learned a lot. I don't know. Just what I've been looking at or talked about. Just kind of been doing it. Closing remarks, I guess. I wonder how accurate I got. I think I wasn't really paying attention to the forms. I was just mainly trying to look at the composition and the sort of elements. Making various observations along the way. I definitely didn't spend a lot of time on every shot. I know that. So I think you could do it further. There's a lot. So you gotta keep moving, I think. I think it's very possible to do a closer inspection of a shot to pick apart the reasons for everything being there. But there's not enough time to do that for every single piece, and so you gotta pick out what's important and keep moving, and then you see the patterns. Is the theory that I've been rolling with, and I think the idea is to internalize all of that, to become second nature when you come to create your own images. It's just like, oh wait, I know exactly how to set this page up because I've seen it before. Like, oh, I'm doing a character piece, and they need to be posed a certain way, or that's the focus. Like, I think this is how you learn how to do it. Probably. At least for films. This is kind of like a mix of storyboarding too. You could probably do this and learn a lot for comic booking or making animation and things. It's the same process, I believe. I chose Parasite because I know can trust the director to be intentional with everything they do. Also trust it because I like this film, you know. I think it's important to find someone who does it like this, because then you know it's there, and you can trust them to do it. If you pick something to look at which isn't done with intent, I think it'll confuse the eye a lot. I had a lot of struggles looking at black and white old films, which you could tell the difference when it was a director who was being intentional and one who was focused on like making a nice looking thing, as opposed to one who was planning all the positions of the actors and stuff. Which is very impressive that they were doing it from the get-go, because I don't think it's easy, and they didn't really have anything to go off, so that just makes it more impressive. Bring back black and white films, I guess. No, it's a lot. I think it's a lot. Went for 4 hours and I'm still not done. I don't even think I scratched the surface, to be honest. I think I absorbed a lot, but it's not everything. I don't think that's the point of doing it. Is not to get everything all at once. That's not possible. You do it in bursts and test it, and then you test it later, and then you make the observations, and then try it, see if you're right, readjust if not, and then see if you can actually implement it, and then do it again. Pick up some other thing, focus on the light next time, focus more on the silhouettes, big shapes, pick it all apart. You can do this endlessly. I think it's just, what's the focus, how do you do it, and not to slow down. That's how I'm conducting studies now, I guess. Be interesting to listen to this back. I don't know if I'll do another one like this, or if I have the same observations like this ever again. So this is my record of what I'm doing. This is a breakdown of Parasite. If anyone does watch this, I probably muttered. Probably sounded like I was losing it a bit. It's before I'm documenting all of these sorts of things on my blog at the moment, as much as I can, because I think where I currently am, I think these sort of observations are good to have a record of how I did it and how I got it in particular, so when later I'm doing things automatically, I can identify exactly how and when I started making the observations and how they grew. I think that might be interesting to hear for someone, because this was new, right? Like I jumped into it and I didn't know what I was going to be doing, and I think I hit flow state 2 hours in or something like that. Yeah, I don't know. Try for yourself. Make different observations. See how accurate all of this is, and then hopefully one day I get my hands on that storyboard and I can just have a look for myself and see how close I was to the actual intent. Because I didn't even cover like even all of it, right? Like there's so much here. I do want to thank the Film Grab website for posting up all of these screens. They're very useful exercise. I'm gonna wrap up. I'm tired and this file is gonna take forever to upload. So, good luck with your art. Maybe catch you next time. Bye bye.